if you paid me. And welcome to the AIPMM webinar series. Today's feature is the importance and role of product management to your company's success. The AIPMM is the Association of International Product Marketing and Management. It was founded in 1998, and it is the largest product management professional group, which is devoted to providing professional development, certification, and training opportunities to forward your career, and certification credentials, including the Certified Product Manager, CPM, Certified Product Marketing Manager, CPMM, Agile Certified Product Manager, ACPM, and the new Certified Innovation Leader, the CIL. I'm Cindy F. Solomon, your moderator for the AIPMM webinar series. I founded the Global Product Management Talk, which is a weekly broadcast on the Blog Talk Radio Network. It's a top 10 business podcast. Join us Mondays at blogtalkradio.com/PRODMGMTTALK. You can follow me on Twitter at Prod Management Talk and the other ones. And also, please follow the AIPMM on Twitter at AIPMM. We're daily. Job postings are posted as well as upcoming product events. I am delighted to introduce our speaker today, Brian Lawley, who is an expert product management and a prolific evangelist for product management trainings and professionalism, who will be giving us an excellent presentation after a few housekeeping points. So please keep your chat box open. I will use the chat to amplify messaging. You have another box, the questions box. Please post questions in the questions box during the entire presentation. I will respond to you and ask your questions at the end during the Q&A session. And for the participants who are asking the questions, you'll be entered into a drawing where we have 7 excellent things to give away today, including a copy of each of Brian's 6 books, a product management lifecycle toolkit, and also a free ticket to the upcoming Startup Product Summit on February 7th in San Francisco. So please stay on to the end of the Q&A when we will have the drawing and we will announce who the winners are during the broadcast. So quickly letting you know, the AIPMM has put together this 3-day package. The first 2 days are a deep dive intensive into the product innovation leadership training. You will get pretty much a high-level MBA in product innovation and innovation frameworks. You will also get the exam for the Certified Innovation Leader. It includes the sit for the exam, the 1-year premium membership, and also 16 PDUs if you are a PMP professional. They've packaged that 2 days in front of the Startup Product Summit, which is an all-day conference with luminaries from all areas of product, including product managers, engineers, marketers, and designers, speaking from the direct experience in startups. So that's packaged together for the price of $17.97. You're pretty much getting the Startup Summit free, and you're also invited to the end of summit party at Atlassian. So the URL is there, aipmm.myshopify.com. Sign up right now. Great. And let me turn it over to Brian, who will give you more details about himself, and delighted to be here with you. Brian, we can see your slides.
Great. Great. Well, thanks to AIPMM for having me, and thanks to all of the attendees. We have quite a large audience this morning, or evening, depending upon where you are. I am the CEO and founder of the 280 Group, and we're named the 280 Group after the famous Highway 280 in Silicon Valley. And I've spent about the last 25 years of my career doing product management. I've written a whole range of books and won a bunch of awards, and it's something I'm very passionate about. And this particular topic is something that I think is very, very important. And as we go through, I'll be talking about how product management has become recognized as really a critical function for companies that want to make great products and really want to succeed. So as Cindy mentioned, make sure you submit your questions. The slides are available at the following URL, 280group.com/product-management-importance.pdf. And at the end, we'll be giving away a number of things. As Cindy mentioned, the Startup Summit giveaway, and then a copy of the 280 Group's Product Management Lifecycle Toolkit, which is a collection of templates that cover every phase of the product lifecycle and include things like business cases and market requirements and launch plans and end-of-life plans. And then also one copy of each of our books from the 280 Group Press series. Everyone on the webinar gets a free copy of our Optimal Product Process book, and you can download that at tinyurl.com/free-OPP book. It is a book that describes the seven phase product process and product life cycle, and the optimal product process that the 280 Group has built on top of it. So please download it and share it with other people. It will give you a very good overview of how to do great product management and manage the product life cycle at your company. And one other thing I want to mention is we have a section on our website at 280group.com called Resource Central, and there's a whole range of free and very useful tools, things like white papers and some free templates. There's the Product Management Manifesto, which is something that I wrote that really describes what the 280 Group believes product management is all about. So please take advantage of these resources. They're free, and we make them available to help you do a better job as product managers. So here's the agenda. I'm going to give you a little bit of background. Then I'm going to talk about the 7 most common problems that we see in companies that we've seen over the past 14 years that we've been in business. And we'll talk about how product management solves these problems. I'll talk a little bit about the 7-phase life cycle and the optimal product process and the 9 key documents that are associated with it. And then we'll talk about, once we've really discussed the role and the importance of product management at your company, we'll talk about ways to optimize it at your company. And then lastly, we'll do the questions and the giveaways. So my company is called the 280 Group, and our sort of mission in life is to help individuals and companies learn how to deliver products that really truly delight their customers and increase their profits dramatically. We're, as I mentioned, we're called the 280 Group because we're off of Highway 280, which is in Silicon Valley. And this is where many of the world's most innovative companies and many of the venture capital firms that funded them are located. We've been doing this for a long time. We do product management consulting and training and certifications for small companies, big companies. We really in all industries, and we have a whole range of products and services. I won't go into depth about this. You can certainly look at our website and learn more about it. But we do things like product management assessments, where we help you build out a plan to dramatically increase the effectiveness of product management at your company. We have a whole range of training courses and the AIPMM certifications. We provide interim consulting and contractors. We have an entire set of toolkits and templates that include training and cover a whole range of topics, and we also do coaching and mentoring. So with that, let's get into the 7 most common problems. So we went out on the internet and looked up a whole range of surveys, and we found about about 15 different data points, and about why products succeed and why products fail. And a very large portion fail because of poor customer requirements. And that's kind of where product management comes in. It's a great product management is all about talking to your customers, understanding their needs, communicating those needs to the people who are building the product, and then communicating those the needs and the corresponding features and benefits to your salespeople and to your customers, so that expectations are set and people buy the product that they want. There's a whole range of reasons why products fail. It could be the wrong product. It could be poor execution. Could be that your company management is just technology or sales driven. Could be ineffective marketing. But there's seven common problems that we've seen, and this comes from having literally worked with hundreds of companies over the last 14 years across all types of industries. And we compiled all our data, and we really saw some patterns across all of them. And the problems result in products suffering, wasted resources, engineers spending time building things that customers don't want and don't need, profitability being lower, and as a result, morale and stress in the company, and the company overall suffers. So I'm going to talk about each of the seven ones. The first one is building the wrong products and or the wrong features. It's very, very common to have a lack of clarity in terms of market needs and customer needs. And what happens is, if you don't have great product management, you end up building products that customers don't want, and more importantly, won't pay for. The amount of resources that end up being wasted can be a very, very large amount. And the opportunity cost, if you had focused those resources on building products that customers really wanted, or features that customers really wanted in their products, the companies could have done much, much better. The second thing that we see is that the whole product isn't delivered. So what we mean by whole product is not just, okay, what features are in this product, but how is it packaged? How is it supported? What's the buying experience? What's the support experience? What's the sales experience? And when you don't have one person in charge of all the elements, or one person who is fanatical about making sure all the elements are really consistent, you can end up with a non-whole product experience. So many times you'll have different groups who have their own political agendas and their own goals, and each group optimizes for their own goals, and the customer may end up having a really horrible experience. The customer doesn't care what the political agendas or the different goals of your internal organization are. They just want to have a great experience. And if you want an example of a really excellent whole product experience, probably the best example is Apple. And I worked for Apple for many years, and they're fanatical about every detail. In fact, Steve Jobs, literally, he designed the entire experience around giving you a great whole product. Literally, from the way that you walk into an Apple store, you'll notice that when you walk in, you're immediately greeted. The way the stores are set up, it was all sort of master crafted. If you don't have a good whole product, you might have the best product in terms of features. It might meet customer needs, but say you have the wrong support package, or you have bad support, and as a result, it doesn't matter how good your product is, it's going to suffer, and your brand is going to suffer. And as a result, you get a loss of repeat business. Your company reputation won't be there. So the thing about product management is, although you rarely have the full authority over all of the different elements, if you're really good at product management, what you do have is the ability to go in and and have a holistic view around the whole product experience and influence people as much as you possibly can. The third problem that we see is a lack of alignment. So confusion about who the target market and customer is, and this can result in a whole range of different sort of dysfunctional behavior. I'll give you an example from my career where I was working for a company. It was a startup that was focused on selling to small businesses, and we made networking products. And the salespeople that were hired, a couple of salespeople were big account people. So they tried to take a product and sell it to branch offices of corporations. And the product simply did not have the features that were necessary for a branch office or for a corporation to buy it. And as a result, we wasted an immense amount of time and energy. So a lack of alignment and a lack of clarity about who really are we selling this to, what do the personas look like, can be a real problem. Now, another problem is a lack of process, or having either no process, too much process, so process becomes the end goal, or being confused about what actually happens at what point in the process. So this is the Carnegie Mellon CMMI model. And the idea behind this is that as you're a company that matures, you move up and to the right. So startups tend to be on the ad hoc side. They're very unpredictable. They tend to be very reactive. And just to get a product out will oftentimes take sort of a heroics, if you will. And as you become a better company, the trick is to move up, but not have so much process that, again, process becomes sort of the end goal. And this is something we do commonly with clients, is we help them. They'll be stuck on a certain plateau, and we help them to build out their product management process in a way that helps them move up. The fifth problem is a lack of product leadership. So if you don't know where the buck stops and who's in charge of the product, you'll end up with all kinds of challenges. You'll end up with product design by committee is one of the things I like to talk about. And we see this in lots of large corporations where you end up with extremely mediocre products, because rather than one person who really is the leader and understands the market and understands the customers, you'll have a whole range of executives who all have their own agendas. And the result is you end up with really mediocre products. This is one of the things that happened at Hewlett Packard, which was sort of famous for this. For a long time, they pushed out the product decisions to the actual product groups, and then they switched over and to a more centralized way of doing things, and their products really suffered. The sixth problem is the idea of tactical reaction versus strategic planning. And it's very common for companies to get into this sort of mode where they're doing fire drills. And rather than having someone who's really truly in charge of the strategy and looking long term, they get consumed by things that happen on a day-to-day basis. So a new competitor announces something, or a new product comes out, and they're reactive rather than being able to sit back and really take a true look at the strategic impact and react in a way that's going to be best for the company. And the seventh and last problem is a big lack of role clarity. And it's not uncommon if you go into companies, if you ask them what all the different groups, what does product management do? There's a real lack of understanding about what good product managers do. And what ends up happening is, rather than having a product leader and really thinking strategically and delivering great products, it becomes a democracy, if you will. And this results in all kinds of challenges. But the sort of the bottom line is, you usually end up with suboptimal products because there's no clarity about who owns what decisions and and who does what. And there's a technique called DACI, D-A-C-I, that we teach and we implement at clients, where it's a way of getting role clarity about. DACI is for decision makers, approvers, contributors, and informed. And it's all about who actually owns the decision, who just needs to be informed, etc. If you can get that clarity, it will make a huge difference in terms of how your products are delivered. So now I'm going to talk about how really great product management solves these particular challenges. So one thing that's happened over the past probably 10 years, as I've watched the profession, is that companies have really begun to realize that product management is critical to their success. And the profession as a whole has really moved forward rapidly. So there's now, for instance, certifications from AIPMM, there's training, there are lots of books and lots of other materials. And it didn't used to be that way. Many companies simply didn't recognize product management, or if they did, they would sort of give it lip service. But the number of companies now that have VPs of product management or senior VPs that report directly to the CEO has increased dramatically. And we see this in our consulting business all the time. There was an article a couple of months ago by CBS News where they did a survey about what were the most important jobs in the corporate world, and they found that product management was ranked the number 4 most important job in corporations, and the only jobs that were ahead of that were the CEO, the general managers, and executive management. So the whole idea of product management sort of coming into its own and being known as the critical function that's going to make you deliver great products is really coming to life. There was also a survey in Money Magazine where they ranked product management, I believe it was number 15 in the top 50 jobs. So it has really become sort of a phenomenon in terms of companies realizing that if you don't have great product management and great product managers, then your products can really suffer, and your customer loyalty and your profits will suffer too. So product management can solve a lot of these problems because they're in a very unique position. They're the central point of communication. There's no one else in the company who touches all of these different other groups and understands what customers are saying, what sales is saying, what your executives, your operations, your engineering. And they're really in a position to drive the vision and strategy and deliver that whole product that we talked about. They're also, if your product managers have been trained effectively and have good skills, they're in a position to really lead all of these groups. I always say that product managers have zero authority, but all of the responsibility. And if you're a really good product manager, what you learn to do is you learn to influence people and you learn to lead people, even though there's no formal authority assigned to you. So we break out product management and product marketing as separate entities. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cough. So the product manager really should be the market expert and should be strategic. We like to think of product management as the person who sort of, quote, puts great products on the shelf, if you will. And then product marketing is the person who then helps get those great products off of the shelf. So they're a marketing expert. They do the positioning, the pricing, um, and they do everything that helps really to sell that product, to generate demand, and make sure that the product meets its goals. There's a white paper that I wrote called Product Management versus Product Marketing that talks all about the roles of these two groups. It's available for free on our website at Resource Central, so I would encourage you to download that. Oh, let's see. So as I mentioned, product management is responsible for delivering really great products. Product marketing is responsible for then messaging and ensuring the demand for that product is created. In many companies, the roles vary dramatically. In some companies, you'll have people who are responsible for both, and in bigger companies, you oftentimes will actually separate the functions. Um, but it just depends on the skill set of the people in your organization as to uh, whether they should be doing one or both roles. So next, we're going to talk about the 7-phase life cycle. And this is a worldwide standard that was developed by AIPMM, and it really covers every type of product and service. There are 7 phases, from conceiving, coming up with great ideas, prioritizing them, deciding which ones to work on, then doing the planning, figuring out who the real customer is, what their needs are, developing, qualifying, launching, marketing, and then retiring. And each one of these uh, seven stages is what's called a phase. And during the phase, you do certain activities, and you decide whether or not you're going to move to the next phase. And you do that by making a critical decision at what's called a gate. Um, this also applies to agile development. If you're doing agile software development, the only difference is the plan, develop, qualify, and launch tend to be done much more rapidly, and there is much less documentation and fewer people involved in the decision making. So, as I mentioned, this is built on a worldwide standard foundation. We like to think of product management as sort of doing the first 4 phases, and product marketing is doing the following 3. We decided to adopt this as the 280 group in conjunction with AIPMM. We have a strategic partnership with them, and they came out with the 7 phases to really further the profession of product management. So each of these phases has unique tasks that need to happen. The conceive phase is where you brainstorm, you generate ideas, you prioritize, and then you choose which ones you're actually going to focus on. And many times the role of product management here is to be out talking to customers and really just identifying what needs they have, what problems are they facing, how are they doing things today that could be done much more effectively, and then to bring those in. But the conceive phase isn't limited to product management. You really want to bring in ideas from your salespeople because they're out listening to customers. You want to bring in ideas from your engineers because oftentimes they'll have a much better handle on what the technology trends are, and they're usually a good 5 to 7 years ahead of the market. But it's very important during the conceive phase that you bring in lots of great ideas, and you do lots of creative brainstorming type activities. The next phase is once you prioritize those. So say you have 15 different possible projects, and there's a bunch of different techniques you can use to rank them and decide which ones you want to do based on strategic fit, based on total available market, the potential profitability, etc. And once you've chosen the top 1, 2, or 3, then you go into the phase, the plan phase. And during planning, you really want to do a deep dive about is this going to be a viable product? What's your strategy going to be? How are you going to compete against the people who are in the market or the people who might enter the market? You want to do really good competitive analysis, really good market research. You want to do a business case that shows if you build this product, can it be profitable? What are the growth rates going to look like? You want to get a really good idea of what the market needs are, and then build a corresponding product description. And you also, as part of the planning phase, you want a roadmap that shows, okay, over the next 1, 2, 3, maybe even 5 years, what will this product look like, and how do we believe it's going to evolve so that we can truly own the market and have a winning product. The next phase then is development. Once you've defined who the market is, what the needs are, you go into development. There are always always trade-offs that need to be made in terms of schedule and features, and oftentimes there are things that you thought were technically feasible that aren't. And the important thing here is during development, product management is really critical, because many times you'll find that the trade-offs you have to make in terms of schedule or in terms of features make the product end up not being viable. And I've worked with lots and lots of teams where, the team really believed in the idea, but as we got into development, we were halfway to finishing the product. It became very apparent that the product just simply was not going to meet customer needs. And if you don't have a good product manager who's there saying, look, from a strategic point of view, from a customer needs point of view, this isn't going to hit the mark, you can end up shipping that product and wasting a lot of time and energy. Now, the qualify phase is particularly important, and this is something that we see our clients not spend nearly enough time on in terms of putting the product into customers' hands early, getting feedback either from a beta program or an early customer adoption program. Because this is during the qualify phase, this is really when you can figure out if you had to make some of those adjustments. Some of those bigger adjustments, is the product really viable? And many times, if you're running a good early customer program, you'll find out that the idea, customers love the initial idea, the implementation just isn't there, and you can, at that point, you can either decide, okay, we're gonna revamp the product and do it right, or we're gonna kill it. But without a good product manager and good product management in charge, many times the temptation is to just simply continue, get the product out the door, and what ends up happening is you spend a lot of additional engineering resources, you spend a massive amount of launch and marketing budget, and and the reality is if you haven't tested it during this phase, you may just have a product that's just not viable. The other thing about the qualify phase is that oftentimes the difference between a very successful product that customers love and a mediocre product is just a few simple adjustments. So if you have it in customers' hands and they say, look, yeah, this is meeting my needs, but boy, if you did this and this, and you're able to squeeze those into the schedule, many times that makes a huge difference in terms of the success of a product. After the qualify phase and during the qualify phase, you plan for the launch. You want to do your announcement, your availability. The launch phase is something that many companies don't do effectively. They'll either pre-announce and then kill their current sales, or they'll announce but the product isn't available yet, and so they get a bunch of press, they get a bunch of buzz going, and customers aren't able to buy the product, and they simply just don't end up, they lose interest, if you will. And launch is where you really have the chance to get the biggest exposure, to ramp your revenues, to get some momentum going, to get customer loyalty. So doing a launch right is something that's really critical. We have an entire methodology around it. It's called the product launch toolkit that's available on our website, and it teaches you how to do a launch very effectively. I can't even tell you how many times, how many clients have come to us, and they were just focused on building the product, and they come to us and say, well, the product's going to be ready in 3 weeks, and we're ready to launch. And I say, well, in 3 weeks, you can't plan and execute an effective launch that's going to do justice to the great product you've just built. Once the product is launched, you want to do the ongoing marketing, measure your ROI, optimize it. And then at some point, you are going to retire the product. You may have a new version that replaces it, or you may find that the product just simply failed in the marketplace. But the retirement phase is something that we see companies make big mistakes on oftentimes. And if you do the wrong thing here, your customers can end up becoming very, very angry, and it can hurt your brand, dramatically hurt your brand. So retirement is probably the least glamorous part of product management. Product managers tend to love to bring new products to market, but nonetheless, it is really, really important. And if you look at companies, really great companies, they tend to have a process and some really good thinking behind how they retire products, so that they don't isolate their customers and hurt their brand. Now, on top of the 7 phases, the 280 Group has built what's called the optimal product process. And this is a complete product lifecycle management framework. And what we did was we took the 7 phases and we really built details around what do you do inside of each phase. And the 7 phases are at the bottom. And then what are the gates, what are the criteria to move from one phase to the next? And this is covered in depth in my Optimal Product Process book, which again is free to everyone on our website. And then what we also did was we mapped out the roles of product management and the roles of product marketing during each of the phases. And then at the top of this graphic, we talk about the different documents that need to be done during each of the phases. And the documents here are part of our product management lifecycle toolkit, and we actually have a 3-day training course that teaches you all 7 phases, and then you get a copy of the product management lifecycle toolkit with all the documents. And the documents are it's not so much that you need to fill them out. They're really really comprehensive templates. In some cases, in some companies, you'll want to do a thorough business case and get it signed off, and a thorough market needs document, and so on. In other cases, the most important thing is that you look at the things, the components of each of these documents, and you make sure that you've answered the critical questions. So a good example would be the market strategy document. A friend of mine works for a big cell phone carrier, and he's in charge of doing disruptive products. And the VP that he reports to had an idea for a product, and it sounded great on paper. The problem was that and the business case looked good, and they knew there was a market need, etc. The big problem was that the carrier only sells their products through, or the cell phone company only sells their products through carriers. And in order to bring that particular concept to market, they would have had to have a retail presence. And there was just simply no way for them to conceive of actually launching a retail strategy, coming up with sort of Apple stores, if you will, for their particular brand. So if you haven't thought through all of the different components on the strategy side, and then on the execution side, if you haven't really thoroughly thought through, a good example is the beta plan. How many customers or early customer usage plan? How many customers are you going to put the product into their hands and really get feedback? What's your criteria for deciding whether or not the product is truly ready and whether or not it's going to succeed? Do 80% of those people have to tell you that it's a great product? And the launch plan I mentioned, if you aren't planning well ahead, then you can build the greatest product and you go to launch it and the world never hears about it. So you've wasted a lot of time and money. So the 9 key documents in the optimal product process are described in this table. You can read about this in my book and on our website. But again, the idea here is that both from a strategic and tactical point of view, you've thought through all of the most important questions. And and I can tell you as a product manager, if you aren't looking at all of these different questions, at some point you'll end up in front of executives and they may ask you about something that if you haven't thought it through and you don't have a good answer and a credible answer, it can really hurt your career. The 9 documents, as I mentioned, are in the Product Management Lifecycle Toolkit. We're going to give away a copy of this at the end. But the idea behind them is over the years, we've seen product managers create all kinds of different documents, and many times there's duplication. So your business case will have a lot of the same information about your market that's in the market needs document. So the idea behind these there's no duplication. It's concise. It's only the key questions you really need to answer, and it's designed to help you be highly productive. And last, I'm just going to talk about how to optimize at your company. So one of the things we do for clients, and that I encourage you to consider doing at your particular company, is doing a full assessment. So look at, first thing off, what's your product management process look like? And then do a gap analysis. So look at our optimal product process, figure out where you're strong, where you're weak. When we do this assessment for clients, usually there's 1 or 2 phases where there's either no one responsible for it, or the company just simply doesn't execute and is very, very weak in that particular area. And if you really don't focus on all 7 phases, you're not going to have a product that's as successful as it can be. The second part of doing an assessment is you really want to look at your people. So what's the skill set? Do you have real clarity about what your product managers and product marketers do and don't do, what your organization look like? And you can map that to the 7 phases and say, well, in many cases, we'll go to a client and when we do the assessment, we look at their people and they're strong in one area, like they might be really good at market needs and business cases, but they might be very weak in doing product roadmaps, or their beta plans and early customer usage plans are non-existent. So we're able to go in and help pinpoint, okay, you're strong in these areas, you're weaker in these areas, and then we actually do customized training where we provide very specific instruction for each of the different phases where you need to improve. And then last but not least, you want to look at your tools. So what kind of tools do you have? Do you have a really good set of standardized templates? Do your product managers, when they go to create a business case, do they have to create their own template, or are the business cases standardized so that when you evaluate different products, you can truly look across all of them in a standard way and make informed decisions about what's really important and which ones you should fund. And as part of that, how productive are your product managers? One thing that we recommend and we help customers build is a product management portal. And the portal is just designed to have your core set of templates and then an archive of documents. So you can keep old business cases, old market needs documents, so that when a product manager goes to create one of these or goes to look at those questions, they have a really good example that someone's done in the past. So as I mentioned, we do full assessments on this. If you're interested, just take a look at our website and contact me. We also have a number of courses that are upcoming. The Optimal Product Management and Product Marketing covers all 7 phases of the product lifecycle. There's another course based on my best-selling book that's How to Be a Phenomenal Product Manager. And that's a course that's all about how do you influence the people that you have no authority over? How do you work better with your engineers, your salespeople? How do you become more productive? How do you focus on strategic rather than tactical things? And then Agile Product Management Excellence, which teaches you how to work well with agile teams. And then also Certified Product Manager and Product Marketing Manager intensive preps and exams. So all this info is on the website, and you can also email me if you're interested. So with that, I think we're going to go into questions, and then we'll be doing the drawing. So Cindy, are you on the line? And I would imagine we probably have quite a few questions at this point.
Yes, we have quite a few and excellent questions, which I've been trying to respond to. So let me see. Going back to an earlier slide, you showed a percentage of failures. And the question was, what is the total percentage of failures, not just the segmentation of why they fail?
The total percentage of failures is, and again, we drew from a whole range of different studies, but total percentage of failures is between 70 and 80%. So there's a very, very large percentage of products that fail, which means they didn't meet their revenue or their profitability goals in the marketplace.
And you cited a study that said CBS and I think Money Magazine. What was the acronym for CBS? Some detailed questions.
CBS News.
Got it.
And there's actually a posting on our blog about it. And CBS News showed that they did a study in corporations, and they found that product management was ranked as the number 4 most important job in corporations today, only behind CEOs, general managers, and executives and senior executives. And then Money Magazine, they did their annual top 50 best jobs in the corporate world, and product management ranked as number 15 out of 50.
Excellent. So for everyone who has asked, the slides are available on the 280 Group site. They're also will be available following the presentation at the AIPMM SlideShare in the original place on the AIPMM webinars site. Okay. What about the replay? Will the replay be available? Do you know, Brian?
Yeah, usually it's archived on AIPMM at the exact at the same URL where you register.
Right. Okay. So regarding questions,
one thing.
Go ahead.
One thing I do want to mention is this is a presentation that we do for clients. Oftentimes they'll have us come in and educate their executives and also their corresponding stakeholders in engineering and sales to really help improve the knowledge in the company about why product management is critical. So if that's something that you're interested in having us do, just email me at contact@280group.com.
Yes, and also Brian will be a regular on the AIPMM webinar series in the next couple of months. He's doing one webinar a month, so invite your colleagues to the next webinar which will be posted on the AIPMM site, so you can sign up for them. It's best to get it live. Okay, regarding questions to ask the customer, to ensure that the appropriate requirements are being gathered. There's a lot of questions about this. Number 1, is there a recommended template? Number 2, is there recommended software for managing the requirements? And number 3, how do you determine how to prioritize those requirements after you have gathered them?
Well, that's about a one-day course to
Yes.
answer all those questions. Um, but a couple of things. The market needs document in our product management lifecycle toolkit gives you a really good framework for um, for getting a sense of what to ask customers and then expressing what you need to tell your engineers. It's not about, hey, we need this feature with this checkbox. It's really about, here's the problem the customer has, and then letting your engineers work with you to come up with creative solutions. So the market needs document is good. We also, I think, on our free templates section on our website, we have an example of a market requirements document outline that you can take advantage of. There have been a number of tools for capturing requirements. Except 360 is one. There was one called Feature Plan, which unfortunately went out of business. There's one called OneDesk. We The most important thing is not so much that you have a tool, but that you at least have a method and a process for capturing things. Even if you set up a simple Google Docs form where people can put in a request, here's the request, here's what the customer need is, or here's my great idea, here's why we think it's important. Even if you set that up, Google Docs, if you set up an online form, and you can even provide this to your customers to give you feedback directly, it then puts everything into a database, and then when you go to prioritize, you at least have a spreadsheet of all of the different requests, and so nothing sort of falls through the cracks. It's probably one of the biggest mistakes that we see with product managers is they don't have even a simple system for collecting feature requests and collecting what the customers and other people are looking for. In terms of feature prioritization, there's a whole range of really, really effective techniques. We actually have a toolkit called the Feature Prioritization Toolkit, where you take your features and we have a workbook and we walk you through. We teach you how to do Kano analysis and how to use a requirements prioritization matrix. And then there's a bunch of other techniques. There are things when you're building out your roadmap and you're figuring out what goes in this version versus the next. There are techniques about called the golden feature technique and themes. Some of those are covered in our white paper on the website. That's how to create a compelling product roadmap. But the feature prioritization toolkit is really, really excellent. It was written by Greg Cohen on our staff, and it gives you 5 or 6 different techniques, and you can take your list of features and sort of use all of the different techniques and get a very good holistic point of view about, okay, what's really going to be most important, and if I have to make trade-offs, what should I sacrifice if I need to?
Also, regarding software for managing feature requirements, I'm seeing a lot of entries in the startup world of new products, new software, new web-based ways to handle that. And by the way, next week's webinar is with Joe Stump of Sprintly, which is an actual tool for managing requirements. Very exciting. He's also speaking at the Startup Product Summit. So, Brian, the questions can be categorized into strategy questions and how do product managers raise their visibility and drive the product future and the product roadmap. How do they communicate to the C-suite who keeps changing the priorities? And then there's tactical and detailed questions specific to people's environments. So why don't you address the strategic questions in general? Because we're coming to the end, and so
Sure.
I want to at least address and give people direction of where to go next.
Sure. And actually, for a couple of the other topics, in one of the most important things to do is to really educate your particular company and your executives about product management and about why it's critical. And there's a presentation that I give away for free that is based on this particular presentation. I'd encourage you, if you're interested in using that to educate your executives and stakeholders, just email me. One of the best things you can do is bring somebody in like our group, where we get real frank with your executives, particularly if they have changing requirements constantly. In terms of becoming more strategic, and in terms of influencing and having an impact, as I mentioned, educating your company is very important. Even one of the first things that I do whenever I've gone into a product management role is I sit down with my engineering team and I go through a presentation of, this is what I do, right? This is what product management's all about. I'm going to drive the strategy. I'm going to provide this. You guys are going to come up with great solutions to what the customers need. And many times, just getting that clarity about your role and about how you're going to help them succeed completely resets things. The other thing is you have to, if you want to drive strategy and you want to drive the product, you have to make sure that somehow you learn all of the core techniques and knowledge. How do you do great market needs? How do you do a good business case? You have to learn that foundation. Take a training course like our Optimal Product Management or something like that. And then the other thing that you have to do is you really have to get the people side, because you can write the best market needs or market requirements document. You can do a great business case. You can do a great launch plan. But if you don't understand how to influence people and you don't have the people skills side, you just can't be effective. I've known product managers who wrote the articulated market needs and market requirements incredibly well, but they didn't know how to use subtle techniques to really influence and their particular stakeholders. So I would encourage you to read my book, The Phenomenal Product Manager. That it basically is it's a book that is based on my career, looking at the top probably 9 or 10 product managers that I've known who were just incredibly good. And what I tried to do in that book is distill down why were they so good, and what. And then I also talk about a lot of the techniques that I learned over the years. How do you, if you have a very stubborn engineering team, how do you influence them? There's a whole range of things you can do. One of the best things is to, if you know what needs to be done, use sort of some subtle techniques to make them think that they came up with the idea. And it really doesn't matter whether you get the credit for the idea. What matters is you shipped a great product.
Great. So we're coming close to the hour. There are a lot of questions. We can review them offline. Definitely get in touch with Brian directly. You can also get in touch with administration at aipmm.com. It's now time for the giveaways, and there were a lot of active participants. Thank you very much for your questions. And the first giveaway... The first giveaway is the Product Management Life Cycle Toolkit, and the winner is Miguel Rodriguez. Congratulations.
Great.
And go ahead.
Just make sure you email me, and we'll give you a code to download it for free.
Great. So you'll email Brian. Also, I may be able to make sure we get in touch with these people.
Great.
So they know. We'll cover it on both ends. The next winner of 42 Rules of Product Marketing, which chapter 13 is an excellent one. It's about how to emulate Twitter as a product manager. And the winner is Scott Hegaric. Congratulations. The winner of Lean Product Management.
Cindy actually wrote rule number 13.
Yes.
That's why she's promoting it.
But every chapter is written by a expert product marketing manager and blogger in the space. So it's very good stuff. As all of these books are excellent. The winner of Lean Product Management is Alonso Trevino. The next book is Expert Product Management Toolkit Bundle. Wait, this is separate than the Lifecycle Toolkit, Brian?
Yeah, it's actually the graphics wrong. It's the book Expert Product Management.
Got it. Okay, because I'm looking at the slide. The winner of that is Lida Thomas.
Great.
Thomas. The winner of the Phenomenal Product Manager book is Patrick Howard. The winner of Agile Excellence, that's by Greg Cohen, is it not? Who developed the Agile Certified Product Manager.
Yes.
Excellent certification course. The winner of Agile Excellence is Jason Ho. And the winner of 42 Rules of Product Management is Benoit Mikad. And the winner of the free ticket to Startup Product Summit, for which you have to attend in person on February 7th in San Francisco, is Jenny Montalto. Congratulations, everyone. You can contact Brian for that information, and we will be in touch with the winners. And so coming up on Monday, go ahead. The closing remarks.
I just wanted to thank you, Cindy, and thank AIPMM for hosting this webinar, and thank you to all the attendees. I hope you found the information useful, and please do take advantage of the free resources on our website. They'll help you be great at product management.
Excellent. And there should be one more slide of coming attractions for the AIPMM webinar series. We're now seeing your private. There it is at the end. So next week, as mentioned, the webinar series will be Informing Product Decisions, how to move faster with less process. And that will be with Joe Stump, who is the CEO and founder of Sprintly, which is a project management for agile software. And I think he might give us a demo of how his product solves a lot of the problems we have. Coming up on Monday on the Global Product Management Talk, I'll be talking with Vince Baskerville of Lithium. He's discussing being a UX team of one and what it takes for user experience inside startups and product management teams. Coming up in person is the 3-day, February 5th, 6th, and 7th, deep dive into product innovation leadership with the certification and the all-day summit with thought leaders. So stay informed. Just go to the AIPMM.com, subscribe to the newsletter /subscribe. Brian also has a 280 group newsletter that you can subscribe from his site. Follow AIPMM on LinkedIn. Become a member of the AIPMM.com for some excellent benefits, including some of the tools that Brian was talking about are available when you are a premium level membership and at other membership levels for the AIPMM.